Okay, can you state your name and the court that you're running for?
I'm Cynthia Terry, and I'm running for the 325th District Court. It's a family court here in Tarrant County.
Okay, and why are you running for this office?
I'm running for this office because I think it's time for a change in this court. I have a plan to bring not only my experience, but it's important to me to bring some transparency, integrity, efficiency, and accountability to this court, both to the district court level and to the associate judge that I would appoint if I had the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I've been practicing law for over 10 years, with most of that experience being in family law. I also have civil, various civil, criminal, and real estate experience, as well as experience on the bench as a magistrate. So not only do I, in my professional capacity, am I ready to serve, because that's what this is, it's a public service position, but I also have a unique skill set in life experience to bring to a family court bench. I'm a mother of 3, and I'm a single mother of 3, although I wasn't always single. So I understand what it's like to have to make difficult choices for your family and to face the possibility of having to face a family court judge, and also to face the aftermath and having to figure out how to co-parent with someone, which I believe I've successfully been able to figure out how to do, although new challenges always arise, and so I can bring that understanding to the family court bench, which I think is important for our Tarrant County families.
Okay, you briefly discussed it, but can you give me a little bit more on your qualifications for the office?
Well, again, I've been practicing law for over 10 years. Most of that experience is in the family court setting. I litigate my cases for my clients. I try to get them settled because I believe that the family relationship is the most intimate relationship that you can have, other than your relationship with God. And I really don't believe in having to put your business out there in front of everyone unless you have to. And so I typically am able to settle most of my cases using the negotiation skills that I learned when I was working in sales and sales management throughout my 20s and while I attended law school. I also have experience in the criminal court, and I think that experience is important because family courts face issues of domestic violence every day, or allegations of domestic violence, and so I understand how criminal law comes into play into the family court, as well as various civil issues. There are civil causes of action that can also be brought in family court matters, which I don't know if many people know about, but that can happen too, and so I have experience in that realm. I have experience working on large discovery projects. I have experience actually as a former judicial advisory assistant for the first couple of years as an attorney, and in that capacity, what I did is I reviewed the attorney's pleadings on motions for summary judgments or various other civil motions, and I actually researched and drafted the judge's opinions, into which he agreed with me on every single one over the course of a couple of years, and to my knowledge he was not overturned once on that. So I do have experience looking at different various legal issues that I hadn't been exposed to previously, and figuring out what to do and making the correct decisions, looking at the law and the facts and applying the law.
Okay, what do you believe the proper role of government is?
Well, I mean, the proper role of government is to provide a structure, safety for its citizens, to provide a national defense, to provide an infrastructure to compete in the world market with other countries, and as far as locally, provide an infrastructure locally to compete for business and to make it a safe and desirable place to live. And also at the state level, kind of the same thing, to compete with the other states, which I believe Texas has done very successfully. And I think that it's very important for, at the grassroots level, to continue to work hard to keep Tarrant County and Texas red, so that Texas can continue to provide the structure that it has, so that we can continue to compete well with other states.
When and for what reason should state or local government be allowed to seize private property under eminent domain?
Oh, eminent domain. I remember learning about this concept as a high school student and then in law school, and I found it to be quite offensive and confusing at first. It confused me just being told that the government can come and take your property that you've earned is something that we hold very precious as Americans. I think it should be done under the most stringent terms In other words, I think your property should be protected as much as possible, whenever possible, and should never be taken for anything below what it's actually worth in order to line the pockets of private entities.
Okay. Is Texas in need of civil asset forfeiture reform?
Well, that I would have to take a look at that issue. That's not an issue that I am familiar with. I do not, again, like the idea of anybody's assets being things that they've earned being taken from them at an unreasonable rate for an unreasonable reason that's not absolutely necessary.
Okay. What is your position on marriage rights?
That's a really good question because being a judicial candidate, if I am given the opportunity to serve Tarrant County, my personal position, thanks to the Obergefell decision in 2015 by the Supreme Court, really wouldn't come into play. If I had the opportunity to serve Tarrant County, I would use my conservative values in looking at the facts and the law whenever I'm able to apply discretion without abusing it and without breaking the law, or as long as I'm following the law, so to speak. I will do the best I can to bring that, but I will have to follow the law. And that's what we'll be. That's the situation we're in as judges right now.
What are the top 3 issues for your campaign?
My top 3 issues are transparency. And what I mean by that is I want the court to be open. I don't like backdoor deals. I don't like attorneys going up to the judge's bench, chit-chatting and stuff, and then having the judge issue a ruling, whether it's the district court judge or the associate judge. I think parties want their day in court. They want to be heard. And so if they can't work it out, I want to run the court so that they have the opportunity to do that and know that they were heard and feel that they were heard as well. I want the courts to be run more efficiently, not just to push cases through like it's a business, but because it actually will save the clients lots of money and save the attorneys, make the attorneys' businesses more efficient actually too. I mean, these clients don't have money to be coming in day after day because they couldn't work something out, or the court couldn't fit you in, so come back another day when they're paying their attorneys anywhere between $200 and $500 an hour or so at least. So I think running an efficient court is important for our citizens. And accountability. I believe that if people have an issue with the way that the court's being run, the court should be open, transparent, and the court should be held accountable for their decisions and their actions or lack thereof. For example, if I see or feel in another court that there is looks to be some impropriety going on or something like that, then it's something as a district court judge that I would feel obligated to take it to the other judges and have that discussion and make sure that the courts are sort of on the same level as to how the court should be run and how we should treat people. And I'm real big on treating people the same. That ties into all of that, I think, the transparency and efficiency and accountability. I don't care what attorney you are, and I don't care what your background is as a litigant. I will treat you the same whether or not I know you or whether or not you know me, like me or not. I think all parties should be treated fairly, especially in the family court realm.
Okay, and in that kind of same realm about treating people equally, there's a common belief that the Tarrant County family courts have in the past tended to favor the mother of the child or the female in a divorce. How do you reconcile that with the best interest of the child, and have you seen that to be your experience?
Well, when we look at the best interest of the child, we really have to look at two parents, whether they're male or female. I think traditionally, not only in Tarrant County, but probably across our country, it's been perceived that the children are best off with the mother because mothers were traditionally the ones that spent the most time with the children. And so as a Tarrant County family court judge, I would have to take a look at that and look at every case with clean eyes and freshly and make sure that I'm looking at each parent, and hopefully the attorneys will present the relevant facts and relevant evidence so that I can apply those facts to the law and determine what's in the child's best interests.
What makes you more qualified than your opponents?
Well, again, outside of I have a variety of a skill set. Again, having served on the bench before, having, by the way, in an area where I knew nothing about prior to serving as a magistrate, I had most of my experience at that point was dealing with civil motions, although I did deal with criminal as well. At that point, as a magistrate, I had to review and either decide to sign or decline both misdemeanor and felony warrants, something that I hadn't previously had experience doing. I conducted arraignments and also held certain misdemeanor trials. And I served in that capacity because there was a judge who was removed for some issues. And in the time I served, there was not one complaint from the public nor the other handful of judges on the bench in that city. So I have that to bring to the table, the ability to jump in and look at the law, look at the facts, and apply that. And also to get along very well with the rest of the bench behind closed doors so that we can run an efficient court. Again, also with my recent family law experience, I mean, I've been out there dealing with Tarrant County's families, today's Tarrant County families. I know what they need because they're my clients. I know exactly what the concerns are. I know that there's been some recent developments and it's been long-standing issues about parental alienation, and I know it's a huge issue. I understand that sometimes allegations are made about family violence that may or may not be true, and some of that has to do with certain personalities, which I've tried to stay educated about as an attorney, and it also has to do with, honestly, the good old way of putting the child in the middle. And I am very cognizant of those issues. I haven't presided over them because I haven't been the judge for the last 20-something years, but I've been dealing with today's issues with those families. I've been keeping up with technology and evidentiary issues to try to prove that those things are happening in those cases. And so I'm very aware of the different experts that are out there that can help the court decide what's really happening in these families today.
Okay, and can you briefly describe your political experience, any experience as an election volunteer, staffer, candidate, or office holder, or any names of any candidates or office holders for whom you've worked for or volunteered?
Absolutely. That's always a tough question because when I do things, I don't do them to keep track of things or keep score, and so I've been kind of having to go off of basic memory on this. I do know that I'm beginning my 7th year as a board member for the Fort Worth Republican Women, and I don't believe it's enough to be members of clubs or to be on a board of any club or any. You have to actually do the work. I have served as a delegate to the state convention. I have walked for candidates, especially when when Wendy Davis was trying to turn. That was real important to me, and I got my 3 kids out there and we did that. I immediately supported the Let's Keep Texas Red movement. I have contributed to various Republican candidates with my time or money, whatever I'm able to do. I've participated in voter registration drives and have also done calls for various candidates, just off the top of my head.
Okay.
Follow-up. What is your philosophy regarding juvenile sentencing alternatives and adjudication, volunteer programs, faith-based alternatives, etc., etc.?
Well, again, I don't believe there's a one-size-fits-all for anything. I think that with any sort of court matter or court case, everything has to be looked at differently. I do believe that there are, for juveniles, I don't think their brains are quite developed yet, and so maybe they don't. I mean, some things are pretty egregious, but there are some that I believe that they just maybe couldn't comprehend the consequences fully of their choices for whatever reason. And I think that we should have some sort of programs to sort of make them better members of society. And if faith will help, I think faith-based anything can help just about anything, any area.
Okay, is there anything you want to tell the voters and the board, lastly?
Lastly, I just want to tell the voters that if I'm given the opportunity to serve you, that I will serve this court with the utmost integrity. I will avoid the appearance of impropriety at all times. I don't think it's appropriate, and I'm not saying anything specific about my opponent, but just my philosophy of what the judge's court should do is everyone should be treated the same, whether you come in front to my court coordinator to see her, whether you call the office, whether you go visit my associate judge, or you come into my district court. I would like everyone to be treated the same, whether we know you or don't know you. I will not accept gifts, whether it be your good homemade cookies or brownies or anything like that. I think it's completely inappropriate and outside the role of what a judge should do. I think it's important, especially in the family court, to avoid all appearances of impropriety and to listen to everyone and treat everyone the same, regardless of who your attorney is and what your background is.
Okay. And do you have a website?
I do have a website. It's CynthiaTerryForJudge.com, CynthiaFTerryForJudge.com, and you can email me. My email address is Cynthia@CynthiaFTerryForJudge.com.
Okay. Thank you.